Hello everyone, this is John Ward with the Appalachian Channel and welcome back to the Appalachian Channel Studios kitchen. We have Bridget with us today and she's going to be cooking chicken and dumplings, and she has a Facebook page and a TikTok channel. Tell us what the names of them are and tell them how to find them.
So my Facebook is Life with Bridget Denise, and this is it. My little Maggie Poo here, she's my toy poodle that helped save my life. That's a whole story in and of itself. But my TikTok channel is Busy Bridget, because Bridget is busy.
We've been talking for a few weeks, and I met her mom and dad originally probably a month or so ago now. They kind of gave me a tip on the guy that built the swag house, and we met there and a couple other places since then and running into them. And then Bridget contacted me and said she cooks and wanted to come cook, and I said, well, absolutely. So she's here today and we're going to get started. You ready?
Absolutely, we're ready. Okay, so this chicken and dumpling recipe that I'm about to make you, I was taught by my grandmothers. My maternal grandmother, I watched her in the kitchen a lot during the holidays, but my paternal grandmother, she actually got me in the kitchen as a very young girl, teaching me how to cook. So this is her bowl. Her name was Mary Ruth, and I don't want to cry talking about this, but this is the exact bowl that I learned to fix dumplings in when I was about 15 years old, and that's been a long time ago. Now this rolling pin is actually my maternal grandmother's, it and this cutting mat both. And so this is a very old pan, and I actually, when I washed it today, it still had some of the flour in it from when my Mamaw used it last. So it's special too. And this mat, I could never wash this. This is actually my aunt's. She kept it after my grandmother died. And this was probably here from the last time that she cooked dumplings before she passed away. So I'm not going to wash that off, but I have watched her many, many times cooking dumplings with this and that rolling pin. So this is a very special recipe to me, and it's a very old one. If you want to know how to make good old-fashioned dumplings like your Mamaw used to make, just stay tuned. Okay, so your first step, and one of the most important steps when you're making dumplings, is to get your gruel ready. A lot of people call it broth now, but my Mamaw's taught me gruel. You got to get your gruel good or your dumplings are not going to turn out. So you can use a whole fryer chicken and you're going to boil it until it's done, or you can use chicken thigh, chicken breast, whatever meat you prefer. But just keep in mind that if you use chicken thighs or a fattier meat, it's going to make your broth or your gruel richer, and that's what you want to get the taste. So I actually use chicken thighs and chicken breast, and once you get your chicken cooked, you're going to remove it and you're going to pull it off the bone and you're going to shred it, and that's what I did here. Okay, once you have that done and you're left with your gruel, then you're going to get you out a measuring cup. I usually always get 4 cups out. I'm making a smaller batch today just for time purposes, so I may not use all of that. But either way, I will pour whatever's left back into my pot before we get started on the dumplings. All right, so now we're going to get started on our dough. And guys, there are lots of different ways to make dumplings. There's no wrong way. If the end result is a good dumpling that you can eat, then you're successful. This is how I was taught by my grandmothers. Now, one thing I forgot to mention in your gruel, if you use just chicken breast and you don't feel like you have enough fat in it, you can use lard. Some people use Crisco. I was raised cooking with lard, and that's what I like to use. So I don't use that in my dough though. I'm gonna show you how to make it. So what we're starting with for our dough is, I was taught to mix the flours. So I have self-rising flour and all-purpose flour, and I do half and half. Now, depending on the size of batch that you're going to be making, that will determine how much flour you're going to need to use. I'm making a small batch today, and I am aware that this is a liquid measuring cup, but this is how I cook, you guys. So I put a little less than 2 cups of self-rising flour in my Mamaw's bowl here. And now I'm gonna put about equal parts of the all-purpose flour. You're going to need enough of this to sprinkle on your surface when you're rolling your dumplings out too, so keep that in mind. Okay, that's a little bit less, but that's okay. Dumplings are real hard to mess up. It can be hard to get used to making them, but once you do, it's not hard at all. So once I have my flours in the bowl, again, equal parts of self-rising flour and all-purpose flour, I'm going to combine those really well, and then you're just going to make you like a little well in the center of it. Some people call it a bird's nest, just a little hole in the center of your flour. That's where you're going to pour your gruel. Okay, so I've got that ready. Now you guys, all I use to make my dumplings is gruel and flour. Okay, so I'm gonna add my gruel into my little bitty bird's nest in the bowl here. Remember, you can always add more, but you can't take away a lot. So I'm gonna start with a small amount. And then, you guys, I'm a country cook, so my Mamaw's taught me how to do this. We do not measure out everything by how many cups, how many teaspoons. We just cook it or add the ingredients till we think it's good. So I'm gonna add some more. You wanna get your dough kind of like a loose Play-Doh consistency, because again, you are gonna need your dough. We're gonna roll it out, so we will add some more flour to it. So most important part is just getting it the right consistency. Here, for example, if you can see how moist that is, if I get all of my dough that moist, it's not going to turn out. So I'm going to stir a little bit more, and then we're going to add this is just kind of add, stir. Repeat those steps until you get your dough with the right consistency. And like I told you, I was taught how to make dumplings at 15. My Mamaw actually stood and had me do it with her, and I've been making them for years. But it takes practice, as with everything else. Practice makes perfect. So don't get discouraged if you try it and the first time or 10 it don't turn out. Just keep trying. Okay, now that's about where I want my dough to be. Right there. So you can see it's kind of sticky, but I'm going to show you what the next step will be. Okay, now that we have our dough ball ready, make sure that you wash your hands. I feel like that goes without being said, but also take your jewelry off, because if you don't, you're going to be doing a lot of scrubbing after a while. This dough will get stuck in there. I have floured my surface that I'm going to be rolling my dough on, and I'm just plopping my dough ball out on it. Get you a little bit of flour on your hands so that you can get all the dough off of this. You've worked too hard for it, you want to keep it, not waste it. Okay, now I'm going to add, I've already got, this is self-rising on my butcher block, and then I'm going to add some all-purpose. Now guys, this is where people usually tend to get frustrated with making dumplings or any kind of pastries, bread, anything, because you have to work it. So if you see here, I'm just picking up some flour and folding. Turn it around, pick up some flour and fold. There's no rocket science to it. It's just, like I said earlier, practice makes perfect. And I'm gonna do this. The one piece of advice I will leave you with is you don't want to overwork your dough, because if you overwork it, you're gonna have stiff dumplings. They're gonna be tough, so we don't want that. Okay, so now I can feel, and you can see here where it's still sticking to me some. You want your dough to not stick to you when you touch it, okay? So when you're spreading it out and you're still getting some sticking to you, you want to just sprinkle a little bit more flour on it. And now this is where you want to go less is more. Start out with a little, and you can always add more to it. After I add it, I'm just going to kind of roll it in. Again, just kind of kneading that dough to get my flour in there so it will be at the right consistency to roll my dumplings out. And as you roll it, you can just rub it on your board to pick up flour there, because a lot of times it just takes a little bit of flour here and there. And you guys, my dough ball is ready to roll for dumplings now. Look how pretty that is. Yep. Okay, you guys, I have, my gruel is boiling. This is very important that you bring your gruel to a boil before you start dropping your dumplings. So if you remember earlier, I told you that whatever gruel you don't use for your dough, you're going to put that back in your pot. Now, it's not a bad idea until you get used to making your dumplings, it's not a bad idea to just go with this. We're going to add our cream of chicken and then later put your gruel in. But I know I've done it enough that I know I'm going to need that. So I'm going to go ahead and add in my remainder. We're just going to put this in here. And where it's cool, it's going to kind of slow that boil down. So it's going to take some time. Now I'm going to get my cream of chicken and we're going to add it in. Okay, and for the recipe, for the size batch I'm doing today, we're going to use 3 cans of cream of chicken, and this is what my mama used. And she used this brand because, in her words, no other brand was as good. So that's personal preference though, so it's not failed me yet, I can say that. Okay, and you know what? Cooking is a lot of trial and error, so let me stir this and make sure that I'm going to need that 3rd can because I don't want to get it too awful thick. So when you're using cream-based soups in any recipe, you want to make sure that you are kind of breaking that up a little bit because before we drop our dumplings, all of this has to come to a boil. Your cream of chicken has to be thinned out. So just going to make sure that you want to stir that and break it up, give it time to boil, but you'll have plenty of time for that while you're over there rolling your dumplings out.
Tell us a little bit about where you grew up at and where you learned this. Where's your grandma living at when you learned this?
So I was born in Pineville, Kentucky. My mom and dad moved to Tennessee when I was a year old. I've lived on the same street my whole entire life except for 7 years that I lived back in Kentucky when I was first married. My Mamaw, my maternal grandmother, she lived just right up the hill from where I was raised in Tennessee. And my paternal grandmother, she lived in Pineville, Kentucky. So I kind of say that I was born in Kentucky, raised in Kentucky, but slept in Tennessee because my mom and her mother owned a florist in Pineville, Kentucky for, I want to say, 25 years.
What was the name of that florist?
Billy and Sue's Florist.
Okay.
So my mom was busy over in there working. We also went to church over there, and we would spend a lot of weekends at my paternal grandmother's house, Mary Ruth. We spent a lot of weekends with her. And every Sunday, for as long as I could remember, my mama was in the kitchen cooking Sunday dinner. We almost always had a banana pudding, and I was in charge of that from the time I was probably 9. But she would make all kinds of stuff, chicken and dumplings, pinto beans, cornbread, fried taters. Her fried taters are probably one of my favorites. But yeah, so that's just a little bit about me. There's a whole lot I could tell you, but...
Well, just keep on telling us. Now, tell us a little bit about, you said that you died a couple of times.
I did, John.
You here to talk about that, maybe?
I don't mind to talk about it at all. It's a pretty scary topic for me just because of looking back on how it happened. But the first time that I died, my daughter had went to church that night in Bell County, and she had picked up an elder sister that was between my house and the church that they were going to. So after church, she had to bring her back to Middlesboro, which is closer to me, to drop her off. When she called me, it was about 10:48, and her curfew was 12. She asked me if she could if she could go back up to her dad's, which would have been the opposite direction, about 20 minutes. I told her no, it'd be better to just come on home because by the time she went up there, she'd have to leave anyway. She got home. I remember her walking in. She sat in my desk chair at the foot of my bed. We had a conversation. To this day, I can even remember some of the specifics that we talked about. And she said, well, Mom, I'm going to go fix me something to eat. Do you want anything? And I told her no. So she walked to the kitchen to fix her a sandwich. And she said that she heard, her words was, I heard you make a funny noise. And looking back now, she was talking about an agonal respiration. I'm a registered nurse also, which kind of makes it even more eye-opening for me how blessed and fortunate I am that the Lord spared my life through that. But when she came back in my bedroom after she heard that, she tried to wake me up. She couldn't get me awake. And she threw water in my face, slapped me in the face, shook me, and she couldn't get me awake. So my mom and dad live right next door to us. And by the time my mom and dad got up there to me, I wasn't breathing. I didn't have a pulse. My dad is a medic. He was a medic in Vietnam, but he was so nervous and tore up during it. My mom primarily did CPR on me. And they called 911. The phone call to 911 went out at 11:09. So if I had let my daughter, when she called me at 10:48 that night, or it was in that time range, if I had let her go back to Pineville, I probably wouldn't be here today to tell it, because nobody would have found me till she got back home. So the Lord, when I look back at both instances, I also died an additional time, 2 times total. And it's quite lengthy stories, but Mom did CPR on me, and of course she was praying the whole time, and I would love for her to tell it from her perspective, but she's pretty backwards. So they ended up essentially calling 911. The paramedics came, they put everyone out of my bedroom, and they had me strapped to a gurney. And this is kind of hilarious, but I feel like when they snapped the bell, I don't know, at that point I came to. I just knew that I was hurting really bad. And when I woke up, the paramedic was like, Miss Dixon? And I said, who are you? What's going on? Like I was just very, as you can imagine, very confused as to why I was on a gurney in my bedroom. And so he explained it to me. And I'll not name the hospital that I would have had to have went to, but it was one of our local hospitals. And I said, well, you're not taking me to that hospital. And he said, well, ma'am, I have to take you. You didn't have a pulse and you weren't breathing when we got here. And my mom was in the background, you're going to the hospital, you're going. And I said, no, I'm not going. So he asked me who I was, where I was at, my address, my date of birth, all the alert and oriented questions. Then he asked me who the president was. And I told him at the time who the president was, but who had really won it and who really should be the president. He said, well, she knows where she's at, so we don't have to take her if she don't want to go. So I didn't go. Fast forward 13 months later, it happened again. 14 months later, it happened again. That time I was in the camper by myself with my 10-year-old stepson. He was playing the PlayStation, and if you guys know kids and PlayStations, it's just the Lord's mercy that he saw what was happening. But he said I remember cooking dinner up until that point. I stuck my fork in my mashed potatoes to go to the bathroom. I remember coming back and sitting down after that. The next thing I remembered, I was being awakened by paramedics screaming in my face. But Jackson said that he seen me lay over in the booth. He thought I was resting. He seen me lay over in the booth, and my little toy poodle Maggie was licking me in the face. And he said after a while, and knowing Jackson, there's probably some time had passed, but he said after a while, I thought, Mom, don't let Maggie lick her face like that. So he said, Mom, when I stepped back and looked, your eyes were gray, not green, and they weren't closing. So we had showed him the first time that it happened how to get in my phone and unlock it, because I knew he'd never remember the passcode. At 10 years old, he did that. The 911 operator told him to go to some of our neighbors, because we were staying in an RV park at the time, to see if he could get somebody. This too was at around 11 o'clock to midnight. Nobody would answer the door for him. So the 911 operator ended up tracing me by my license plate. And the chief of police, and y'all, this is a God thing. I will forever, both times it was God. The chief of police ended up living right around the corner. And when I say around the corner, you literally make 2 turns. That's how close he lived to our camper. So when he heard the call come over, he said, I thought I'll just go ahead and go over there because he knows our landlord very well. He said when he came, Jackson was outside waving his arms to flag him down, and he had Jackson show him where I was at. And he said, when I saw the condition you were in, I sent him back outside and told him I needed his help to flag down the ambulance. But his words to me were, he had done military and police work for 15 years, and he had never seen anybody that close to knocking on heaven's door to come back. I was blue from the elbows down, pulseless, no respirations. And he said, Maggie, he said, if I didn't know any better, I would have thought your dog was trying to do CPR. She was pouncing on my chest. So he had to lock her in the bathroom. He did a couple of sternal rubs, and the EMTs got there. And it was a nightmare from there on out. It was a horrible, I hope to never, ever experience that again. And it made me even more grateful for the heart that I have as a nurse, because I don't care what walk of life you come from or what you've done in your life, I'm there to take care of you. That's my job. It's not my job to judge you for what you've done or what got you in the place you're in. It's my job to try to save you. And that's not the experience that I had that second time. So I'm very grateful to God, because I could have been gone. They sent me to 5 different specialists, tested me for this, that, and the other. I was told your labs are good, we can't find anything, we don't know what caused it. That went on for about 2 years. And then finally, it was about 1.5 years. My cardiologist did a heart cath on me. He said, honey, your arteries are as beautiful as you are. It's not that unless it's something electrical. He said, so I can put a loop recorder in, which is a continuous heart monitor. It looks like a little flash drive. They just stick it down in your chest and it monitors your heart continuously. He said, I can do that, and we'll see if it's something electrical. So I was like, well, go ahead. So he did. And I ended up getting a call back from his nurse saying, Doc needs to see you ASAP. So I go back, and she printed off a stack of the report from this loop recorder was unbelievable. My pulse was dropping in the low 30s at night, and my heart was stopping multiple times a day for 3 seconds at a time. I had what is called sick sinus syndrome that had went undetected for all of those years. I mean, I died twice from it. And my cardiologist, Dr. Dorian, best cardiologist walking in my opinion, good Christian man, he said, honey, the 3rd time probably would have been the charm for you, but it wouldn't have been the charm you were looking for. So I say all this to say, if something's going on with you, listen to your body. Let your doctors know. Be persistent with it, because I kept going and telling them, hey, I don't even feel like living. I had made out my funeral plans because I felt so bad. I would have cold sweats so bad at night. My teeth would be chattering. They were blaming all of my symptoms on menopause and depression until they found out what was going on with my heart. I even told them that I could feel my heart stopping, and I mean, they kind of looked at me like I was crazy, but I felt it. And it would feel like somebody just kind of bumped me between the shoulders when it would start back. So getting the answers was great. I wasn't so happy to know that I had to have a pacemaker, but looking back, I'm so thankful that we have that medical technology, because it has given me my life back. So I'm just thankful for the Lord to be here, and hope that I can do the work that He has for me to do. Okay, you guys, so we're ready to roll our dough for our dumplings. And remember to keep your surface well floured. I'm making John a good mess here, but that's okay. I'll clean it up for him. And then you want to flour your pan also. I'll just take some flour in your hand and rub it on it. This is messy. That's what Mom and I were talking about. Making dumplings is time consuming. It's there's a technique to it, and it's messy. So a lot of people just don't want to fool with the mess. Okay, so now we're just going to start rolling it. And I'm going to, I don't know, maybe this will work. Just like with everything else, people like different things. Some people like thick, chewy dumplings. Some people like them really thin. I'm going to break this in two just so that I'm working with a smaller piece of dough, and you're just going to put this in your bowl to wait on you. But I make mine the way my mama taught me how to make them. So you roll your dough out fairly thin, and if it starts, you see how that came up on my rolling pin? Just a little more flour. Okay, so just make sure that you get it rolled out pretty, as thin as you want it to be. Let me say it that way. Just depends on how you like your dumplings, but John's gonna eat these today the way I like mine, so he can tell you if he likes them the way I like them. Okay, then once you get that pretty smooth, flip your dough and roll it from the other side. Rolling it's really not going to make it any tougher, but now remember, like I told you earlier, kneading your dough too much will give you a very tough, chewy dough. And I don't know about you, but I don't want tough, chewy dumplings. Okay, so you can see about how thin this is. It's pretty thin. So now I'm ready to start cutting my dumplings. Now when I did this with my Mamaw, she would slice a strip off, we would pinch them and drop them. But now, I don't know if they even had pizza cutters back then when I was little. Now we have these handy dandy pizza cutters, so you just slice your dumplings like so. And then slice them across. These don't have to be perfect, just so they taste good. And now we've got our batch of dumplings ready to go in the pot. Move over here and drop these. Now, Mom, I will need you to stir these while I'm doing that other piece of dough.
Do you have to continually stir those dumplings?
No, you don't continually. You want to every few minutes just to make sure they're not sticking. I mean, at home I get all of my dumplings rolled out and ready to drop so I can stand there and stir it when I need to. But I mean, I've had kids stir in the pot before. Whoever's close by gets stirring duty. And they don't like it, let me just tell you that. You know, these kids don't like doing anything besides watching TV or playing a game. Okay, so just make sure, let me tear that off. I'm kind of picky too. I don't want that to be too big of a dumpling for somebody. Make sure that you do stir this occasionally so that your dumplings don't stick, because once they stick and it scorches, it's going to ruin your whole pot of dumplings, and you're going to be one mad little hen when you've done all this work and your dumplings don't turn out. Okay, so you can see here I've stirred them. My broth and cream of chicken I had at a boil when I dropped these. Okay, so you're going to leave them at that. And then you're just going to continue to stir just like I am every few minutes. You can judge it. If you start to feel that some are sticking, stir it more frequently. But I'm going to say probably every 2 minutes or so, make sure that nothing's sticking on you.
So you work as a school nurse?
Yes, sir. I'm a school nurse. Actually, I work at 2 of the Claiborne County schools, one of which my son attends, so that's nice, getting to be out there and eavesdrop on him, make sure he's doing what Mommy says. Okay, we're going to drop our second. Remember, I divided my dough in half just because of my work in my surface area. Okay, you can see how it's boiling here. You want to make sure that it's boiling when you drop your dumplings, okay?
Let's just get a shot of that there. So you're boiling, let's talk about that. You want them boiling a little bit, so what's the special deal about that?
That's to cook your flour. If your gruel is not boiling, then your flour is gonna just get sticky and lumped together. So you want it to be at a boil so that it's cooking those dumplings and they're not just gumming up on you.
Okay.
And also, I did forget to tell earlier, but this pot is the best that Mom and I can remember. We were talking about it on the way down here, that my grandmother, my paternal grandmother, taught me to make these dumplings in. She can't remember for sure if it was her mom's or my dad's mom's, but she's pretty certain it was. I just remember it was a big silver pot. That's been a long time ago, so, but most likely this is it. So it's probably how old, Mom? 40 years, 50 years? So there's a lot of sentimental value in this dumpling making for me. Okay, now another thing, guys, when you cook, I don't care what it is you cook, you have to be good at calling the shots. So if you're grilling a steak, you have to be good at knowing, okay, that looks like it might be getting a little burnt. I better turn my heat down. So with dumplings, if you roll out too much dough, you have to judge once you start dropping these. Hey, am I getting too many dumplings in here? Because you still want to have some gravy to pour over your cornbread and sop up.
Okay, so you can have made too much dumplings and you want to not put them all in maybe?
Exactly. You can save them. You can actually freeze them until another time, or you can refrigerate them if you're going to be using them fairly quickly. So now that I've got all of those dropped, I'm going to stir this. And you can tell when they start to get done. They will get not completely translucent, but they will start looking a little bit thinner. Like that's a fresh one that I just dropped. Okay, let me see if I can fish one out in here that we dropped earlier. Here's one I dropped a little bit earlier. You can start seeing the difference in them when they start to cook through. Now, if you don't like your dumplings this size, cut them to the size that you prefer them. That's the beauty of cooking, you guys, is it's your kitchen. Do what you want to do. You want to cook it the way your family will eat it, the way you like it. And you've heard the saying, there's 1,000 ways to skin a cat. Same thing with cooking. I can show you guys a very easy and quick way to make you a pot of dumplings when you get home from work in the evening. You could have dinner ready in about an hour, maybe even less. But if you want them the old-fashioned way, like you ate with your mama and your papa, this is a surefire way to do it. Okay. Now we're going to let those.
Now you cut it back down just a little bit there on their temperature, I noticed.
Yes. Yeah, I cut the temperature. Okay, so when you're first dropping them in, you want them at a rolling boil so that they don't stick together. You don't have a big gumball, basically. Once you get all of them dropped and they've started to cook some, then you can turn your heat down a little bit. Not a lot. You can turn it down to where it's not the whole pot boiling as hard until they finish. And that's just to help prevent the scorching. Sometimes it's hard for me because when you're used to cooking and you don't measure and you just, cook till it's ready, it can kind of forget to explain the little things. Okay, you guys, so with the size of batch of dumplings I made, I actually would have needed a little bit more chicken broth, but since I don't have that, I'm just gonna add some water to it. Again, with cooking, you have to learn to improvise. And this is just to kind of thin the gruel out so it's not as thick. And that's all I'm going to add to it for right now. We're going to let these dumplings continue to cook, and then you guys will get to see John taste test them. All right, guys, our dumplings are finished simmering, cooked down, And now we are gonna add our chicken. Again, this chicken I had already cooked and had it pre-shredded. You can see I use thigh and breast meat. This dark meat in here is the thigh meat. If you don't like it, leave it out. Just fix whatever you like. You're also gonna judge based on your size pot of dumplings, how much. I'm not gonna use this whole bowl. I'm gonna eyeball it, okay? When you're a country cook, you learn to eyeball real good. So I'm just gonna drop my chicken down in here. Remember, it's your kitchen, so you cook it the way you and your family like it. Okay. I'm going to stop right here and stir that in and see what we're looking like. Add maybe another half a handful to that, and I think we'll be good as far as chicken goes. We'll be ready to try these babies out. Okay, John, the one thing I did forget to bring is pepper, and that's definitely a necessity when you have chicken and dumplings, so I'm hoping you've got there we go.
Pepper.
Okie dokie. Well, we will get these boys a bowl poured up. I forgot Dustin earlier, so we're going to get him a bowl too. We're not going to leave him out. And they can tell you what they think.
All right, let's get some plates. I'm excited. Let's see, do I need to get a spoon, or is that going to work what we got over there? Do I need
probably a spoon will scoop it up better for you.
Okay, there might be something over here. I know Dustin, he don't want none.
I can serve you though, I don't mind
Can
at all.
you get it out with that or this? Or I don't know, what do you use? I don't have
this
one.
fine, yeah.
Okay, all right, perfect.
You guys, I love to cook. I don't like cleaning up the mess, but I do like cooking, and I feel like feeding people, watching them enjoy their food, that feeds my soul. I'm not a very big eater myself, although it looks to be the opposite, but I don't eat a whole lot myself, but watching other people eat and enjoy their food is something I absolutely love.
All righty. Well, I wish we'd have had enough for Dustin.
I think I can scrape him up enough here. Dustin says he's going to take the whole pot. What are you talking about? Oh, yes, I forgot. My sweet mommy, she made us a pound of cornbread to
Let's see what we can get going on here with
dumplings.
this. I'll have to open it up.
My mom makes the best cornbread, and she learned it from...
Oh, my goodness. Look at that. That's beautiful.
Now, you know how to take that cornbread and sop your juice up with it, don't you? You know how to eat country food, right? You slice your cornbread and then you sop that soup up with it, and that's some good eating.
Okay, I'll get a knife here. So,
Slice it up.
all right, here we go. Oh, I didn't cut it in the center. I'm a little off. Go ahead and cut another piece here. All right, so now you take this and you put it in here.
Stick that in your bowl. Just dip it and get you a bite.
Yeah, I need a fork or a spoon or something a little bit. That's good.
Now you may need to add salt. That's one thing I don't add a lot of is salt to my food, just because everybody has different tastes. So
They're pretty good. I think I'll go with a big spoon. Guys, these chicken and dumplings are absolutely amazing. I've done about 8 all of mine, and I'm not going to put them down because Dustin might think they're his, and they're not. They're mine. Thank you so much.
you're
It's
very
been
welcome.
a great afternoon learning about the dumplings and how to make them and your grandma's recipe, and I guess that's a very special time that you remember learning these. So these are special when you make them, remember.
Absolutely. I have a grandson that'll be 2 in August, so I taught my son to cook. I feel like everybody needs to know how to cook, and I look forward to sharing those special moments in my kitchen like my grandmothers did in their kitchen with me.
Now you cook on your channels too, TikTok and Facebook?
I do. I actually go live on Life with Bridget Denise where I cook. It's basically what the title says. It's my life. So I hate to throw this in here, but we all have struggled with it at some point, maybe with our families. But I do struggle with depression. The Lord has helped me a whole lot with that, but I've been inconsistent because I don't like to come on camera and bring people down. But you may see anything from that. You may see me crying, you may see me laughing, you may see, there's a lot that you'll see on there. It's just my life. Lots of my grandbaby, because he's my pride and joy.
Yes, I saw the live video yesterday. You went live with him.
Yes, he is my pride and joy. But I do just a lot of different things, medical tips, ways to treat a fever for your child, what to do if you have a cold, just a little bit of everything, John. Just my life experience.
Well, I'm going to put the link in the description below the video for both her Facebook and TikTok, and it is also called Life with Bridget Denise on Facebook and
Busy Bridget on TikTok. And I have just, I'm a school nurse, as he told you earlier, and this summer is the first time that I have made myself be dedicated to this, and I have actually seen some very good results. So I'm excited to grow both of my platforms. I would love to have you guys come and join. Like I said, if you like faith, family, fun, grandbabies, all things grandbabies, and a little bit of medical advice thrown in here and there, I think you'll like it.
Absolutely. I know, enjoy the dumplings, and you're talking about maybe coming back and making something else. Tell us about that next time.
Absolutely. Maybe next time we'll do some chicken linguine. So
Okay.
my aunt actually taught me how to make that when I was a teenager as well. She's from Cincinnati. Pretty simple recipe, but it is delicious, and I promise you, whomever you cook for, they're going to think that you spent a whole lot of time slaving over that recipe, but it's pretty easy.
Well, guys, make sure to go follow her on Facebook and TikTok. Leave her a comment on one of her videos. Tell her that you saw her on the Appalachian Channel, and make sure to like, follow, and subscribe to the Appalachian Channel on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and we have TikTok too, I believe.
You do. I've been on it. You
And
know, John.
so, anyways, thanks for watching. Love you guys. God bless you. See you on the next video. Bye-bye.